What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another weekly episode of the Shop Podcast. It is that time again. Another awesome episode today, Saturday. Hope you guys are all having an awesome weekend, watching some football, listening to the Shop Podcast. We got a great podcast lineup today. This week actually was jam-packed with a ton of topics, and we have a great guest as well. He is a returning guest. He has been on the show a few times before. I'm gonna go ahead and let you start, Enrique. Go ahead and give yourself a shout out. Let everybody know where they can find you and some of the things you do on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, PTK, man, it's great to be back in the chair of the shop. You know, shooting the shit with you guys and talking video games, man. It's been way too long.
Yeah,
maybe over a year, I think, man.
Yeah, it's been about a little bit over a year.
Yeah, so I am excited to be back. I love your show. You put out a great weekly podcast, man. You've been doing it for a long time, so it's an honor to be back here. And I'm one of the co-hosts of the Basement Radio Arcade podcast that goes live on YouTube every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys want to give me a follow, you can follow me on Twitter at @brap_podcast. So give me a follow. Check us out on Wednesday nights. We actually may have a big industry guest on Wednesday night. Yeah, returning industry guest. I hope he can make it. I'll give you guys a hint. He is a gentleman who's behind games such as Twisted Metal and the God of War series.
Nice. So that is a huge teaser. So if you guys are not already subscribed to him, I made sure the link to his channel and the podcast is down in the description below. Please go follow him, subscribe to him as well. They put on a great podcast. It's him and a whole bunch of people over there that I really respect. A lot of them have actually been on this podcast as well. So shout out to everybody on the Brat podcast. So next two people here, you guys already know my right hand man. We're gonna start with Fuzzy. You got some explaining to do. I'm just playing Fuzzy. You don't got no explaining to do. But go ahead and start yourself out, Fuzz, man. Fuzz wasn't on the show last week, had some things going on, but he's back this week.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Fuzzy Belvedere here on Xbox Live and PSN, as well as on Twitter. Yeah, work things, just the after holidays, inventory, trying to catch up. But here once again, talk some games with some excellent guests and the usual suspects on the show. Ready to get it.
All right, let's get it, man. Fuzzy got to grease his wheels a little bit. That week off, he had some other things going on. So we're going to get this thing popping. And if the Wonder Boy, Zalker, go ahead and give yourself a shout out, man. I already cleared everything with the agent. We good to go.
Yeah, they're confirmed. Yeah, we're good to go. Yeah, man, everything's good, man. How's everybody doing today? We have some awesome topics. This week has been fucking packed with some news. So everybody get ready for a pretty quick, awesome show, man. You know how we are. We keep it 100 here.
Yeah. 60 minutes and we out of here, guys. 60 minutes and we out of
here. Straight to the point, man. No fluff.
Straight to the point, no fluff. So let's get it, man. We got a lot to cover today. And once again, if you're new here, share the link on Twitter or on any other social media site that you may have, as well as who is this that jumped in? Dennis, we got somebody else that just jumped in here as well. Okay, that's hold on, guys. Give me a second. How did that happen? So we'll just go ahead and start on the topics then. I'm not entirely sure that happened. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, dogs, is talk about Naughty Dog. Essentially, this really wasn't an article. It was a tweet that a guy put out. He actually is a co-director of The Last of Us 2, essentially saying that they're still hiring people, game designers, to come and work on levels and different things like that. And I guess just polish off The Last of Us 2. Now, I made a whole video about this, essentially saying that I don't really think the game is going to be coming out in 2019. I did get some information afterwards that may have kind of maybe tilted that a little bit because I didn't have that information before, but I want to get the panel's idea what you guys think that means. You guys think the game is coming out 2019 or not? 2020 maybe. So what about you? We're going to start with you, Enrique. What do you think, man? 2019 or bust?
I don't know, man. I've been back and forth with this whole Last of Us 2 release date. The fan selfishly wants to say 2019, and I know there was that leaked or that PlayStation ad or whatever it was in Spain that showed The Last of Us 2, and I want to say Death Stranding, as one of the games in 2019. I don't know. I mean, I can't say for sure. I mean, it could be as simple as, hey, we need people just to help us kind of get us across the finish line. 2019 is we're the second week of 2019. So, I mean, this game could still come out in 2019 if you look at a possible release window of maybe September. I think it's feasible to finish the game. But I can't say for sure. I don't know, man. I think that the ad was probably, if I had to guess, man, it was probably just to get some extra help to get him across the finish line, if anything else. And if the Spain leak is to be believed, then this game is coming out in 2018. I hope it is. Selfishly, I hope it is. I hope it does come out in 2019 because I think that'd be the kind of cherry on the top for the PlayStation 4. As we all know, this is we're kind of at the end of the generation here. So
yeah. We're winding down. And the interesting thing about that too that you mentioned is that one thing I want to throw in there is that we haven't seen anything. We've seen one actual gameplay of this game, and that was last E3. That was it. That's the only gameplay we've seen, and that was scripted. Nobody was standing on stage with a controller in their hand. We haven't seen anything to believe that this game is far enough along. Besides, like you said, maybe some leaks, some tweets, things like that to kind of give us an idea. But I think maybe it's just people wanting the game to come out in 2019. I don't know if there's enough actual factual evidence to point to the game actually coming out in 2019, just based on the fact that generally, look at what happened with God of War. We've seen gameplay, we've seen trailers, all these different things. But the game was actually going to drop. Sony, a big game like Last of Us 2, they're not just going to put the game out on one 10-minute clip of gameplay. You don't do that on a game that huge. You have a full launch. You put all this money behind marketing. We haven't seen any of that. Not even a hint of that for this year.
No, that's a great point.
Not even going to be at E3.
I know that they're not going to be at E3, but I think they can pull off what they did with God of War, where God of War was kind of the launch date or whatever the release date was announced like 3 months before. Yeah, they said January, like, hey, it's coming out April, right, or something like that. And it came out in April, and it sold really well. Spider-Man was the one that I feel like they put a lot of effort in and a lot of money because it's fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
The biggest exclusive they've ever had in the history of Sony, like just PlayStation in general. So that's really cool. But I don't know about Last of Us 2 coming out this year. I've always said I think it's a 2020 title. If it comes out in 2019, awesome, cool. I'll play it. I'll look forward to it. But I just don't see it happening. I really don't. I think the end of this year might actually be a really good time. I think they'll try to push for it because when you look at the end of 2019, what do we have coming out except for Gears, that Star Wars game, and a Call of Duty? What else does anybody know about it? That's 3 games. Like this year, like we had like 7 or 8 huge games that people had to play. Like we just had to. Like so that's what I'm looking at is that this year doesn't seem that competitive. The beginning of this year is really competitive. Summer is never competitive, but at the end of this year, what really is coming out? There's no Assassin's Creed, right? There's no Battlefield. There's no Battlefront. So what's coming out that's going to really, it's an opportunity for Sony to really dominate the sales.
Oh, absolutely.
Because let's be honest, and one of the reasons why I don't think it's going to come out is because I think Naughty Dog delays their games a lot because they only bring out games that they know are going to be polished and great experiences. They're one of the top developers like in the world. That's just a fact. Even if you're an Xbox fan or anything, you can game, right? They have good game. You can recognizes game. So that's just the way it is that I think it's a early 2020 title or late 2020 title that will launch with the PS5 and the PS4, right? Like it'll double dip, or they'll bring it out this year and release a remaster.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what's going to happen. Nobody does. But I think Death Stranding is the game that's coming out this year.
I think so too. I think if there's any exclusives that are going to drop this year, it's Death Stranding. And I've heard Death Stranding is a lot further along than a lot of people think as well. I know we haven't gotten much of Death Stranding, but we've gotten a lot more Death Stranding than we have Last of Us 2. I think that's a lot further along.
Yeah, and it's a second party title. This isn't
True.
Death Stranding isn't a first party game.
True.
Kojima built his thing funded by Sony, but it's not their studio. So they're not going to give Kojima 17 years to make a game again. They're going to be like, hey, you have these resources that we're giving you, but you need to release it at this date because you're not a first party title.
Yeah.
So that's all. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at Days Gone, Dreams, and Death Stranding. For this
And
year.
like you said, the interesting thing, and with through a monkey wrench. Shout out to Forte. He just stopped in here. What's up, Forte? By
What
the
up,
way?
Forte?
Yeah. Oh, chilling. So yeah, the funny thing about this, and what makes this year different is that the monkey wrench was that Sony's not going to be at E3. So that threw everybody off. So when you're not going to be at E3, which is essentially the Super Bowl of video games, you even say you're not doing anything around E3, then there's no confirmed event after E3 either.
Well,
so
did you guys see Brad Sams on RDX this week? Brad Sams, the insider that leaked Halo Infinite, and then leaked the Obsidian. No, not the Obsidian. He leaked some stuff. He's a person that knows a lot about. He's written a lot about Microsoft.
I think I follow him on Twitter. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so we had him as a special guest on RDX, and he said the reason why he thinks Sony is not coming to E3 is because they've showed all the games that you're going to be able to be played on your PS4, and everything else that they have kind of ready to show is only going to be played on PS5, and they don't want to do that. They don't want to show it because right now, they got a lot of flack for no crossplay, and then now they're getting a lot of flack for no cross progression. They got a lot of flack for their infrastructure, about their name, right? Can't even change your name. So that's something that they're trying to combat, I think, and that they're trying to work on this year, trying to get games to be backwards and forward compatible. If it launches, but he's saying that all the games right now are PS5 only.
So that leaves Sony with they could get away with not doing anything in 19. I mean, if that's the fact, if we know for sure 2020 E3, or maybe even pre E3, we get some kind of announcement of a PS5, that'll be enough for their fan base. Like they could survive not having really anything but Days Gone or Death Stranding and Dreams in 2019. They'll take a little bit of a hit. But I think they'll be okay, even if as long as they make that announcement sometime early 2020 about maybe a PS5 or maybe a Last of Us announcement or something like that. I think that game is big enough to kind of get everybody back in the good graces, or get Sony back in everybody's good graces. I think as soon as they say Last of Us 2 release date, everybody's going to forget about that they didn't have anything in 2019 to show.
Maybe, but that dude, a year is a long time. Look what happened in 2017 for Xbox.
I don't know. I forget quickly. Last of Us 2 drops. I'd forget quickly that it wasn't there for a year.
I wouldn't.
I think most people would. I think most people would.
I mean, I think some people would, but to me, what I'm not going to forget is that they don't have any multiplayer games that intrigue me. That's my problem with Sony. They don't have any co-op games.
That's a whole other show.
I'm just saying, like, that's my thing. That's why I'm not going to forget.
Yeah, I got you. That's a whole nother. We could do a whole nother show on that. Is what I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So let's go ahead and move on to Fuzz. Fuzz, what do you think, man? I know we've been talking about The Last of Us 2, 2019, 2020. What's your opinion on that, based on like any new information?
If it wasn't for the tweet that you had made mention of, like before the show and stuff like that, I was thinking it was going to be like Sony's, in their sleeve type or up their sleeve type of announcement to kind of spoil any Xbox momentum after E3 or something like that. I was under the impression it would be released this year, and it would be something, even though they're not doing a PSX, even though they're not doing an E3, they have a knack for making announcements by, just showing gameplay. It could be during like the Final Four or something along those lines, but they'll pick a time to show some more trailer footage, and it'll make people kind of forget whatever else is going out or going on in the gaming world. So I'm kind of under the impression that it was going to be released this year, but I think you were saying that Naughty Dog had a tweet about needing like level designers or some more help.
He was a co-director. I don't remember the guy's name, but he was a co-director for Last of Us 2, and he put out, it was like a job, kind of job description, job offering tweet, essentially saying, "Hey, we're still working on some things we need to finish up." So.
Yeah, that kind of kills my original idea, but then again, with and these aren't even comparing games or anything like that, but Crackdown 3 within the past 7 months, I think, had some sort of director announcement or something like that. So games can turn around in some cases faster than what we're used to, just because they can ramp up, the amount of developers that they put towards it, or the amount of resources that they put into it, or what may already be in place, and they just have to finalize, a few, additional levels or things along those lines as far as the overall world. But I was thinking it was going to be like an August, September range type of game. maybe announce it June, July, and then, catch everybody off guard, and then, sell, 5 or 6 million, copies within that first month type of deal.
Yeah, kind of still take some of the wind out of Xbox sales, essentially. Is that what you mean? Take some of the wind off of.
Yeah, because around that time, I think we're going to be looking forward to Gears 5. So they'll find a way to kind of not shit on that parade, excuse my language, but it's just they have a knack for doing that a lot of times.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That does make sense, and that's why, to me, like, it's odd. The whole not going to E3 is just odd. I mean, I think even if they decided not to do anything, I think 2019, yeah, a lot of the fans, a lot of us would be very critical, but I think their fan base, ultimately, they'll survive that. I don't think it's that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. Short-term loss for long-term gain. And I said that a few podcasts ago, that I think that they're kind of playing their cards. Okay, we got the mind share this generation. We've run away with the sales. We have such a huge lead that we could take this calculated risk. And I think that's what it is, because we don't really have much in the chamber, and we know we have to gear up for this launch of this next console. So
I don't really like it. I don't think it's a good risk, to be honest, man. It's the biggest thing. Like, people are like, oh yeah, it's the 20 million they spend, they're going to save. It's like, I don't give a shit. Spend your money. You're a multi-billion-dollar company. Like, 20 million is nothing for the most advertisement you're going to get. Yeah. So, like, what I'm saying is that, to me, this is how I live, right? Like, I'm very competitive and very critical of everything I do. So if I see a competitor drowning, I don't help them. I go over there with more water and I pour it down their throat, like, just the way I am. And right now, they do have the market lead in gaming. With against Xbox and Nintendo, everybody, right? They're the champions right now. That's just what it is.
Yeah,
you're giving Xbox a foothold, or any Nintendo, whoever it is, a foothold to actually catch up, maybe, and start next generation off better than you, because people can hype it up because all eyes are going to be on them. That's the way I see it. I don't understand why they would do that. Like, just keep going.
We're living in a different time now where E3 isn't what it used to be. And, I go back to E3 back into the early 90s, and, when you have YouTube influencers and you have stuff like, PAX now, which PAX is huge. And you have, the PlayStation experience. And I think this is not a matter of kind of stopping out. The question isn't, killing the competition. I think it's a matter of, does it make sense for them to do it, to go to E3? And if it does, if they don't have anything to show, I don't think it makes sense for them to go to E3. But
they showed too early, right? And you know the company that runs PAX, Penny Arcade?
Yeah, Penny Arcade, yeah.
Yeah, so my buddy he was the lead engineer of Penny Arcade for a while, and, like, I'm really good friends with him, and he's told me of internal stuff that's going on. PAX isn't as big as E3. Nothing is.
Well, no,
by a big standard.
It's not, but the thing is, but PAX is bigger than what it used to be when it first started.
Yeah, of course.
And with YouTube influencers and the ability now to have your own event and to have the kind of impact that you can have at the same level of E3 without having to go to E3, that's different than 10 years ago.
Well, that would be great, but you just didn't do a PSX last year either.
Yeah,
like, no, they didn't do it.
You're going on a full year.
That's what I'm saying. You're going on a full 12 with nothing at all, not a single show, not even a direct, not even
more than 12 months. You're going on almost 18 months if you're going to have PSX next year.
So, there is a rumor though. There's a rumor out there though that PSX is going to happen in 2019
I hope it does.
I fucking hope it does.
Yeah, I hope it does.
So,
and I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen towards the latter part of the year, like November, December.
Well, that's where it usually is, right? So
that's normal. Yeah, like December, November, somewhere in there.
So, like, okay, I mean, we're looking forward to that. Like, that it's 18 months, right? Like, that's a long time to not give your fans any fucking news at all.
Yeah, and I think that's even for them. I think it's a bit of a, they'll survive it. I don't think it's going to break him or anything. But I just think it's a bit of a stretch, and like I said, I keep using this word, calculated risk. Like, on one side you have in retail, like you said, why go if there's nothing to show? On the other side is, well, we haven't had really much to show in going on 18 months, so it's a balance there. But I think if anybody can survive it, I think Sony with the mind share, with the sales lead, they keep every chance they get, they throw out all these random ass milestones that they hit. 91 million consoles, 96. So that'll sustain them and the games they have coming out, third-party stuff, deals that they have there. I think through 2019 until they can get to this PSX. And I'm with you, Enrique. I hope they have a PSX. I'm looking forward to a PSX because I want to see what they're doing. So
yeah, that's the rumor. I mean, you definitely want to see a roadmap from them. So, you don't want to go end of 2019 and not see a roadmap and be like, wait a minute, what's going to happen now? We're at the end of the PS4 generation. Exactly. What's next?
Exactly. So I want to go ahead and bounce this over to Forte too. I know you just hopped in here. I didn't really give you a chance to speak on the Forte. But what do you think, man? Last of Us, 2019, 2020?
Man, this literally falls in line with what I was saying a while ago about as soon as they announced that they weren't going to E3, I knew the game wasn't coming out in 2019. It could if they was to press the issue and get the marketing machine up going really fast, but I just don't see that happening. Sony has never been that type of company, with the exception of God of War. Everything has they give you a date and it is so far out and you just don't know when it's coming. My biggest thing is I believe this game is still going to come out in 2020. I think it's going to be an early 2020 game because I think it's going to be something in line where they're going to try to get it to be on both platforms, PS4 and PS5. PS5 is going to come out later that year. We all know they did the same thing with Last of Us when it was PS3, PS4. I think and they can't go off of, like, they could bring it out in 2019, but they can't. If they did that, they wouldn't be able to use the excuse of, hey, well, why didn't you just make this, bring it out and make it for PS5 too? Because if they bring out in 2019, PS4 comes out in 2020, they're going to bring out another version of the game, meaning another SKU you're going to have to sell a year later. If they bring it out in 2020, they can literally set the roadmap saying, hey, all these games that we are bringing out now are backwards compatible, plus they are forward compatible with your PS5. It's easier to have that conversation then versus a year early when you don't know if you'll be able to do that. So I think they're holding off hope to hope that's something that they can actually accomplish. And if they can, then they won't have to worry about telling people like, hey, you can buy this game once and this game will work on your next system too. I think that's what they're really working on. Outside of that, I just want the game to come out. I don't care if it gets delayed. The delays are great as long as the game is good. And I don't think people on PlayStation really need to worry about it because they have had great IPs this whole generation. So they gotten a lot of goodwill out of them. So they don't really care.
Well, the first couple of years the PlayStation was out.
Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah,
it was even the Sony execs said 2015 was sparse for them.
Well, the biggest thing you got to think about like this too. Like you were talking about, like how it's going to be a 12-year cycle, not 12-month cycle until you hear like
18 months
till you see their last conference. The thing is, I think that was a calculated risk they were willing to take when it came to, spending money when they didn't have to. Microsoft, we can all say right now, Microsoft, nobody saw Microsoft going anywhere 18 months ago. With the way that the platform was sitting, the place we were with games and stuff, people were still wondering when the Sea of Thieves coming out. People were still waiting for certain games to come out. And trust me, Sony saw that. They were looking like, well, hey, they're not even in a position to even talk about games that's coming out in 2018. So what are they going to be talking about after that?
Well, I think the calculated risk
was them
showing games early. I think it was the promise.
Well, they're always going to do that because trust me, I'd rather know about a game that's coming out on the horizon. I don't care how far it is than not knowing at all. That is a personal preference for me.
They've always done that, Forte.
You said what?
Sony's always done
it. Yeah, they've always.
Sony's always done that. So that's a personal preference for me. I mean, that's the one thing I like about Sony, that I know what the roadmap is, and that comes across as having, I want to say, you have faith in what you're doing, knowing that you're not going to cancel stuff. And trust me, Sony has been through their motions where they canceled games and just moved on, and then they had games that were stagnated, like like Last Guardian that took 13 years to make. Yeah. So they've been all over the place.
And Days Gone's looking stagnant too.
And Days Gone is looking stagnant. But guess what? When the game comes out, the game will release, and people will forget that it was delayed. Well, the people that really just want to play the game,
if it's good, they will.
Well, the people that just want to play the game don't care how long it's been delayed. Only us on YouTube and Twitter and people that have these different platforms. Well, the game sucks and it was delayed, so that's why it sucked. So that's more of a conversation for us, but everybody else, they just want to play the game. It doesn't matter when it comes out.
Got it. No, I agree, and that's a great opening topic, man. That's a great opening. We had a lot to say. And that's something that we've been kind of discussing on a podcast. It was a huge topic in the community on Twitter. We've all been kind of wondering what's going on with this game. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. So this is something that we do here on the Shot Podcast. It's fairly new. I do a poll of the week every Monday. I throw a poll up on Twitter, and I kind of let you guys run through it, and I announce the results here on Saturday. So the poll of the week, it was 315 votes. So thank you to everybody who voted on the poll. Let's keep that momentum going. So I'm kind of disappointed. I'm not gonna lie, because I thought there were more Sega kids out there than I ended up being as far as on the poll. So essentially, the question was, which system did you prefer as a kid and why? And why did you prefer that system? So I had Sega, Nintendo, and other. So Nintendo actually won the poll at about 48%. So almost half the 300 people voted preferred that system growing up, and then 40% Sega, and then another 11% were other. So I want to ask you guys here on the panel briefly here, what do you guys think? What system did you guys grow up with? I'm going to start with you, Enrique. What would you prefer growing up, Nintendo, Sega?
All right, man. So it depends what era you're talking about, but if I'm thinking like me as a youngster, young Enrique, Nintendo, the 8-bit era, just because, I mean, so many franchises that we still play today were birthed on that console. Ninja Gaiden, Final Fantasy, Metal Gear, Zelda. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
To me, that even 30 something years later, that console has the best, I mean, in my opinion, the best games library ever. I mean, you talk about just strong third-party support, third-party exclusive, new franchises, first-party. I don't think we've ever seen a console like that. Maybe the PlayStation 2, maybe the closest thing to that, but I got the NES, man.
Okay, cool. I mean, I wouldn't not agree with that. I'm more of a Sega kid, but I would not agree with that. So, Zalk, man, which
I love Sega 16-bit era. Don't get me wrong.
Okay,
Sega was the go-to 16-bit, but Nintendo 8-bit era.
Okay. What about you, Zalk?
When I was a kid, when I was like, I don't know, like 7, 8 years old, probably N64. That was my shit. I didn't know anything about sales and shit. I didn't know PlayStation was dominating. All I knew was that I was playing fucking Perfect Dark and freaking Smash Bros. And I freaking loved it. And I was just so into it. And then when I hit like 12 or 13, I think that's when the Xbox came out and it was done. I've always had problems with PlayStation. So I never, like, everybody's like, oh, PS1 or PS2. I never got into it. And I didn't really care for like the Japanese games that were coming out for it. A couple of my buddies did,
Mm-hmm.
But Nintendo 64 by far. NFL Blitz, that's my shit on 64. I loved it.
Blitz was fun.
Yeah,
dude. I used to play with my buddy all the time. He lived 4 houses down from me. I still talk. He just called me. Me and him, like, we're brothers, man. So I've known him since I was, since we were babies. Me and him would play Blitz every day before school for like an hour. Right? We'd wake up at like 7. Go there, play at his house, and then that's it. But yeah, those two systems.
Okay,
cool.
cool.
Did you like the wrestling games on N64? Was it
No Mercy, No Mercy WWE? Hold on, someone's calling my name.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay, go ahead. Oh, okay. So I guess we go ahead and bounce it over to Fuzzy then. What about you, Fuzz, growing up? I did see a tweet here real quick. So it looks like you was a Sega kid, man.
Oh yeah, Sega all the way. Mainly because of arcades. I'm probably just as old, if not older, than some of you guys. But it was one of those things where the first few arcades, Nintendo with Donkey Kong and things like that. But once I could get the console in my house where I could play Outrun, play Afterburner. I mean, 8-bit. Yeah, the Sega Master System didn't look anything like the arcade, but at least it was a nice representation to have in the house type of thing.
Space Harrier.
Yeah, Space Harrier, Hang On.
Yes.
Yeah, there was basically all the arcades that I spent so many quarters on were able to be played at home, and that was why I went to Sega. My sister and my niece, they went Nintendo, which I think I only played Mario Brothers and what was not Sub-Zero, whatever the racing game, but I think that was Super Nintendo instead of the regular Nintendo.
Yeah, I think that may have been Super. Oh, you mean? Wait. I can't think
it was
of
like a 3D racer kind of like with the little hovercrafts and stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Super Nintendo. But on regular Nintendo, it was just basically Mario Brothers. Is all I played.
I'm back. Sorry for yelling, or if you guys even heard that.
Oh, you good? You good?
Okay, good. Keep going.
No, but then when the Genesis came out and Sega CD, was it Joe Montana Football? It was
Sports Talk Football.
Oh yeah, it just.
Yeah.
He said it was F-Zero. Sean said F-Zero.
F-Zero, yeah.
F-Zero was awesome.
F-Zero was awesome. Yeah.
I mean that was one of my favorite games on the Super Nintendo and stuff. But most of the games I played were on Sega, and then I stayed with it through the 32X and the Sega CD, and then I wound up getting the Saturn later. But it's not that I didn't like Nintendo; it's just that I have like this love-hate with Nintendo games. Love playing the games, but there's sort of this addiction with the music that after a while becomes a little nauseating for me. It's like you can hear that tune and know exactly what level it is, type of deal. And that, as crazy as that sounds, that's why I couldn't really get with Nintendo as far as, beyond just a few levels of Mario or Super Mario World and stuff like that.
Did you guys play Mario Party, like on N64?
Not much.
Nah.
Oh man, I used to play that all the time with my buddies, and I don't know if you guys remember, like the controller, like with the joystick,
Mhm.
like spin it. Oh my god, we used to form calluses and shit on our hand, on our palms, till 5 a.m, just like shit, and just dying a little inside. Oh man, that's the fun stuff, man. Like that couch co-op where you playing with your buddies.
Yeah, people don't understand how that square ass Nintendo controller gave me early onset arthritis back in the day. Like that damn, how not ergonomically correct that controller. It's a square that doesn't fit anybody's hands except a cartoon character.
Yeah, low key. The South Park game, the Mario Party South Park game on the N64 was one of the. If you guys haven't, look it up, man. It was so bad.
I never played it.
One of the mini games, you had like the chicken rapist.
Oh my god!
You got to go like find the chickens, and it was like we were laughing so hard.
Oh my god,
12 or 11 years old.
I remember that episode when it came out, the chicken rapist. Oh my god!
It was in the game, bro. You had to go find chickens to win the mini game. You're just in the back. Oh, so bad, bro. Sorry. All right, moving on.
That was the early days. That's like when South Park first came out, man. It was, oh my god, it's hilarious.
So you guys already know where I stand on this. I'm the one who put out the post. I was a Sega kid all the way. Now I did have an 8-bit Nintendo, the OG Nintendo. Don't get me wrong, but once I got to that Sega Genesis, man, it was a wrap at that point, man. So I always make fun of like people that had Super Nintendo back in the day because I was a huge Mortal Kombat fan, and on Sega you got the blood. On Nintendo you got the green shit, slime. I always poke fun. That was kind of a jab that I always threw out there. I mean, Alter Beast. I mean, you talking about all these different games.
Fantasy Star.
Fantasy Star. I was a huge Joe Montana football fan. All I did was make punt all game. All I did was
sort of baseball. Remember that?
Timeless sort of baseball. Man, classic games, man. And I used to sit and just play nonstop to the point where my mom would like take it and put it in like her closet. Like, okay, you can't play all day. So I was a huge Sega fan. Sonic all the way. That's when Sonic, you can actually compare him to Mario back then before he'd been taking L's for a while, but we ain't gonna talk about that. But yeah, it shaped me until the Xbox came along. I had a Nintendo 64. I even had a GameCube as well, Dreamcast as well. So I was a huge gamer. I kept up with all of that, man. But Sega CD, Sega Saturn, I had all of that, man. I had all the 32X, all the in-between shit that didn't work. I had all of that. Oh, yeah. So I was a huge Sega fan. So, Forte, where were you leaning towards as a kid, man?
Oh, man, when I saw that poll, I was like, man, that was a hard decision. But then I thought about it. I said, no, it's not really. I was straight Nintendo for a long time because I think about all of the games that really affected me when I was younger. I was the type of kid that I went outside a lot when I was young. I mean, a lot of people went outside a lot when they were younger. But when I was at home, it was mostly Mega Man. It was mostly anything. It was mostly Konami games like Life Force and stuff like that. I was huge into all those type of games, and then just Mario was just life back then, just going through those levels and all the different games. It really didn't change any to like a big degree until I got probably when I was like 12 or 13. Then that's when I got into like Sega, and I got my Sega, not my Sega, I'm gonna say Sega 64. I'm putting two systems together. When I got my Sega CD, then I started playing a lot of Sega games like Scottie Pippen's Basketball and Joe Montana and all this other crazy stuff. It was so fun, and I just thought about like what games really impacted me, and I couldn't think of a lot of them on Sega until I got till then, and mostly when I got to my Dreamcast, which I really loved because that's when I pretty much just completely left Nintendo behind for the most part when Dreamcast came out, and then it became PlayStation and Xbox after that. But I will always hold an affinity for Nintendo because Mega Man was life back then, and that's when I just loved everything Konami and all the Konami games.
Castlevania.
Yeah, everything was just amazing back then on N64, man.
Yeah, I remember. Like that's you were talking about playing outside and stuff, man. I didn't, I was a gamer, but I was always outside as a kid. I think I was like that last generation to actually be outside a lot, and the reason why I became a huge gamer was I was doing I used to do skateboarding and bikes and shit like tricks, and my house is on like a little hill, and I did like this trick, and my mom was outside watering the plants, and I ate shit. Like I ate really bad and like had blood everywhere. I get up, I'm like wiping it away, and my mom just like starts hitting me. She's like, "What the fuck?" Next day, bro, my bike was gone. I was like, "What happened to my stuff?" And she's like, "Oh, you think you're going outside after what I just saw?" I was like, "Oh man." I just started playing the shit ton of games, man.
Awesome, man. Great topic. That was really nostalgic, man. I love it. Go ahead.
No, I was like, one thing though. Think about this though. How many of you guys, I want to say, not influenced you, but like friends in your neighborhood, they had certain systems. It kind of made the decision for you to get a certain system easier because all your friends had it, so you could share games. Because games were expensive back then.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So one of my friends, like everybody in the neighborhood pretty much had Nintendo. So it was like, it's easier to have one of those because I could just flop games with people all the time. And I do know one time one of my friends got a Genesis when he first got 16-bit. And I was at his house. I was like, "Oh no, this changed the game right here. This is my life." So I will give Sega props, but it was just at that point, you're not buying the systems. It's other people buying the systems. And mom back then was like, "Wait, you don't need this. I just bought you this one." So
it was Halo. It was Halo for us, bro. That was I was the first one that got it. My boys came over. I remember it was all like 5 of us in my room on this little bitch ass 13-inch screen with a VCR on it, and we just all started. And we were just quiet, dude, just looking at it. Next day, my buddy's like, "I got one," and everybody's, "I got one." And it was just that's the way it went.
Yeah,
the best question is, what was the first system that you paid for yourself?
My Xbox. I worked at my restaurant, bro. I was a kid working peeling potatoes with my dad.
PlayStation
I earned my own shit.
2 was mine.
Genesis was mine, but allowance money to get my Genesis.
Yeah, I'm with you, Fuzzy. Allowance money, Genesis, and then for me, PlayStation, the first PlayStation.
Well, I guess my PC actually. Never mind. My PC when I was 11, I saved up. I didn't know, dude. I was 11 years old and I saved up for a year. I worked at my restaurant, bust tables, got tips, from older ladies. Like, "Oh, you're so adorable. Give me $5. I'm like, all right.
Soccer was spanking them old ladies in the rear.
Hell yeah, it was all
Thanks for the tip.
I need to work at your restaurant.
No, man, it's in the city, that's what I did. And for like 9 months to a year, I bought all the parts, put it all together. My dad walked in my room. He was like, "What the fuck? Where'd you get this?" And I was like, "I bought it myself."
Nice.
He was like, "All right."
Nice, that's amazing. See,
Soccer's room playing on Unreal Tournament.
Yeah, I played Medal of Honor, all that shit, man.
Nice. That's amazing. No, those kind of experiences, man, shaped us as gamers to who we are now. A lot of newer gamers or kids growing up now will never have those kind of memories. They don't have to go through, a lot of the stuff that we had to go through, like you said, sharing cartridges and all kind of crazy stuff. And I was talking to my wife the other day. Remember, you guys had to blow the cartridges, and then if that didn't work, you had to use a little alcohol swab. If that didn't work, you had to try and do something else, and all kind of crazy little tricks to get everything to work. And that's just
on top of a cartridge.
To make it work, like because it wouldn't stay down in the actual Nintendo or whatever. Yeah. So things like that, we had to go through that.
Well, the fact I always found it remarkable how the world found out how to make that work when there was no internet.
Yeah. For real, dude.
Like, how did it become this It's like you can
word of
walk
mouth
up the street right now and ask somebody, like, dude, how did you get your games to work in your NES? It'll be like, oh man, I would blow in the cartridge. If that didn't work, I'll put it in slightly and push down on it real hard. Like, huh? How did you know this? And it was no internet.
Word of mouth, man.
Word of mouth, bro. There's trial and error as well. I don't know how many times. And then back then, remember, Enrique, we weren't getting this. We didn't have no YouTube, so it was just you know what our gaming journalism was? The magazine aisle at our local grocery store. That was where we got all of our information from.
Remember how happy you were when Nintendo Power came in the mail?
Oh man, don't even get me started, bro. The game, all of that. What was it? Not Game Informer back then. It was another one.
EGM.
EGM.
Pro.
Game Pro, EGM.
Electronic game.
Yep. Every time we went to the grocery store, I was looking for the newest version to see what was coming out. What was going on in gaming. No internet back then, so that was amazing.
Damn, PlayStation magazine with the free demo disc in it. Let's
go.
I was a podcast, bro. Jesus.
I still have Xbox. I still have Xbox demo disc from OXM, man, for the original Xbox.
Oh,
wow, wow. Good shit, man. So let's go ahead and move on. That was super nostalgic. That was really fun, man. So the next thing we want to talk about, man, is Ubisoft essentially coming out on the limb and saying, hey, we're not going to be putting this thing on Steam. We're just going to skip that. We're going to put it in Epic Games Store and on Uplay. They completely slighted Steam, I guess you can say. And I don't even know if any of us saw this coming. Maybe some of us did, but I didn't see this coming.
I did.
But I want to go ahead and get you guys' opinions anyway about the fact that they're just going to completely skip Steam and say we're just doing our own thing with the Epic Store as far as Uplay. So we're going to start with you, Enrique. Did you see that coming? Because I didn't see that coming.
I knew I didn't know it was going to be Ubisoft, but I knew that at some point, sooner than later, one major publisher developer was going to do it. So I'm not surprised they're doing it. I'm not surprised at all, given the cut.
That's true. I forgot all about that. The percentage you get with the Epic Games, it's like 30% or so, 35 or something like that, right?
It's 20. You get 80%.
Yeah.
It's 80/20.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry. I'm way low. I'm sorry.
And then if you use their engine, if you use their game engine, you get like even a better deal.
It's 90/10 then.
Yeah, 90/10. Yeah. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. It was only a matter of time before one of the big devs publishers came in and said, you know what, we're gonna do this.
Gabe Newell to get up off his fat ass and do something. I can't stand that. I've always said it on this spot. I can't stand Gabe. I just don't.
He's living comfortably, man. I don't know if he's going to do anything.
Bro, I know he is, but it's just there's other reasons why I don't like him. That's not even the main reason why I don't like him. But I just think
you don't like him because he haven't put out Half-Life 3 yet.
Man, don't start, man. That hurt my heart. Man. Don't start with me, man. We ain't even gonna get into that anyway. Anyway, Enrique. So was that pretty much your main point? Was that you already kind of knew what was gonna happen?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a disruptor in the industry. I just knew it was a matter of time before one of the big companies came in and took advantage of it. I mean, why wouldn't you?
That's crazy.
That's crazy. You get an 80/20 cut. I mean, to me, I'm like, I'm not even thinking about this. Yeah. More money.
So I guess the better question should be: is this something just going to be? Is this going to become regular? Is this going to cause Steam to maybe change some policies? You see that coming as well? Maybe change the way they do things over there.
I think it depends how many big titles they lose out on, and how much it hurts their bottom line. They're not gonna I think make a change until they start feeling the pain. Once it starts hitting the bottom line, then they'll probably make a change. But who knows, man? I mean, I think if the industry starts leaning towards, because you remember, like Steam has so many thousands and thousands of games.
Yeah.
Indie publishers that put games on Steam. It's almost like they make revenue by volume now. So, but then it gets to a point. I mean, like if they start missing out on these big games that are huge in the industry, then maybe they say, you know what, we need to reevaluate, our profit sharing and how we give, what our margins are to developers. But I think until they feel the pain, they probably won't make a change.
Okay, cool. So, Zark, I know you've been like fucking nipping at the bud about this one. So go ahead, brother.
I actually made a video about this a couple months ago. If anybody remembers, I made about how Steam is struggling and how it's because of all these. Like, think about it: Activision gone, EA gone, Ubisoft gone. Who else? What you call it? Bethesda gone. Blizzard gone. Everybody's like, there's no big games on there that are launching anymore. And it's, they have the indie games, but I don't know when's the last time you guys bought a game on Steam. I haven't bought a game on Steam in probably 2.5 years now. Like, I'm gonna be real. Like, there's just no point for me to, because it's on other things. Like, I bought games on Blizzard, of course, on Battle.net. I've bought games on Xbox and Sony, because they have games on there that I want. Steam doesn't have anything I want, and developers have been really irritated with them. I've read a lot of articles. I've talked to people that honestly just don't really understand the advertisement algorithm, or just the algorithm in general that Steam uses to advertise games on their front page during sales. Developers pay them some money to be like, hey, put me on the front page for 10 hours at this day, whatever, during the Steam sale, and like let us be on the front. And then it's not up there. They'll be on the front page somewhere, but you have to scroll down like 17 scrolls. Like, it's weird, and a lot of developers don't like that, so they've been wanting to leave it because they don't understand it, and they've been stuck there for years because Steam was the only one, for years. And Steam was, when I first got Steam, when Steam first started, a lot of people hated it. They were like, I don't want to be on here to like play my games, blah, blah, blah. But then after a while, people were like, man, I really love Steam. The Steam sales are amazing. They had the best sales in the world, man. Every summer and winter sale, it was Steam like, sale, it was a freaking event. Everybody was like, how many games did you get? Like, I was like buying 5-6 games a sale. And I was like, damn, this is now Xbox and PlayStation compete in the sale. So does Amazon. So does everybody else. Competition is key, everybody. We want competition, and this is what Steam is getting. And Steam doesn't have any of those big games coming at them. I calculated it. When Far Cry 4 launched on Steam, it made Steam probably like $200 million or $300 million, something like that, from the 30% they would have gotten. I think Far Cry or Fallout 4 sold whatchamacallit, like I think 9 million copies in a day or some shit on worldwide, and then on Steam and PC it sold like 10 million altogether. Like, that's a shit ton of money. And Fallout 76 I don't think launched on there.
Nope.
Like, none of those games are launched on there. They're losing money. That's just a fact. And I just don't see they're gonna have to start bringing stuff to entice people with exclusives or something to bring people to come back on Steam, because I only use Steam for Counter-Strike, and that's it.
That's a tough pill to swallow, and this is coming from our resident PC guy. So he plays a lot of PC, a lot of Xbox, a lot of PlayStation as well. So that's
PTK. I'm sorry, but can I interject real quick?
Yeah,
I think Zucker brings up a good point. Like some of these big games aren't there, but that almost goes back to, and we made a joke about Half-Life 3. Maybe Valve needs to reevaluate the fact that they probably start making games for their platform.
Look, Left 4 Dead, how many times?
They were the only ones competing, to me, and Nintendo, I guess now with Smash a little bit, but they were the only ones competing with Xbox in co-op games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, like I loved Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. I played the hell out of it with my buddies on PC. I love Portal. I love those games that they used to make. It's like they're not making anything.
Yep. It's just I don't. That's why I don't like Gabe New. It's not. So we were talking about this earlier. That's why I don't understand how you sit on those kind of franchises. Just there's no reason not to. It's not like you lack the finances to do it. It's not like you lack the resources, the manpower to do it. That should be the last thing you think about when you. And those are games that people want. It's not like people are like, forget about it. But it's like you could easily. All you got to do is show a Left 4 Dead logo. It's a wrap. Yeah, you don't have to do anything. Like, you don't. There's nothing for you to do at that point. So there's no reason.
Imagine a Half-Life 3 logo.
Come on, man. Internet is exploding at that point. Like, it's a wrap. Like, you're gonna consume all marketing, the internet. You're gonna take over the internet for as long as that lasts. It's amazing. Like, they have games that are that huge, that are that coveted, that they're just not doing anything with for no reason.
Well,
So it just
it's even their multiplayer games, like we call it Counter-Strike, like Team Fortress 2, man. I played the hell out of that game. Like, how are you going to let these things just die?
it could be
I
in
wanna
direct
slap
competition with like an Overwatch.
They
That
got
could be
comfortable.
yeah.
They got
The Madden, I call it Madden syndrome. When when you're the
Oh,
biggest person
don't.
on the playground, and then after about 6 summers, that kid used to bully. He starts lifting weights, and he comes back the next summer like, wait a minute, you done grew 6 inches. You got some muscle. I can't push you around. So you just rest on your laurels. I mean, we're the only people in the playground with a shovel, in a sandbox. So we're okay for that. Then as time goes by, things change, and you forget about it. And you look up, and everybody else got a fucking John Deere tractor. You still with a shovel. And it's ridiculous. I don't understand. I don't understand that. So we're gonna move on to you, Fuzz, too. What do you think about the Ubi not doing, the Division 2, not putting it on Steam? I know you talked about this a couple podcasts ago as well.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that's just going to continue to happen?
I think it's something that's going to continue to happen, and I'm kind of surprised Ubisoft didn't, really push their Uplay thing. Although Uplay is still kind of and that the app update that they've done is kind of messed up right now too. But it was only a matter of time. I mean, like everybody's already said, everybody wants a better cut. Like the devs are going to want more money in their pocket so they can, make another title and or pay more devs or keep the studio lights on. When you got somebody that's taking, over 30% or something like that or more, it's time to look for other resources. And it looks like Epic has been pretty good as far as marketing their own games, and I'm pretty sure they'll do a good job with marketing a lot of these other titles that start going there or launch exclusives as far as from the PC end of things over there. But I'm not surprised, but it would be nice to see Steam kind of be more competitive now. Now that these shoes have dropped, they got to step up and do something. They may not do it today or tomorrow, but I would say within the next year, or at least before Microsoft really throws their hat into updating that store, they're going to have to do something. So
good luck when that happens.
We'll see about that. But Forte, what do you think, man? Is that something you saw coming?
Well, no, but now that it did happen, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Well, the biggest thing for me is this: Valve. I don't think they're in the business of making games anymore. They just want to be a storefront. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing is when your storefront houses 3 of the top 10 most played games in the world, and they're only available on your platform, you kind of can let rest on your morals when it comes to Dota, PUBG, and
Counter-Strike.
Mm-hmm. Those games are always visible, especially on Steam, and then when you go to Twitch, they're always in the top 10. So they have a monopoly when it comes to that. So they really could just sit back and say, hey, do we really want to spend the capital that we did gain on all of these different games that did come to our service to have a chance to actually make money on them? Because as much as we say like, oh, Half-Life 3 would be amazing, or Left 4 Dead 4 or Left 4 Dead 3 would be great, how did those games don't resonate with people today as they would have back then? I mean, it's like the old syndrome, we want these games, but how long has it been since those games became relevant?
But that makes it even more sad because you had ample opportunity. There's no reason. Like it wasn't like there wasn't a time where everybody was just like cool that those games weren't out. That never happened. So this has been consistent like throughout the entire generation. Hell, when did the last Left 4 Dead come out? What year did the last Left 4 Dead come out?
2009.
Anybody know in the chat? Anybody
9?
know?
Like 2009.
I thought it was 2000.
But even what you were saying, bro, is that Counter-Strike and Dota, Counter-Strike's gone free to play because a lot of people weren't playing it.
No, but see, that's the thing though. When you have a massive player base of people, not even their player base, just think about how many people still are on Steam in general. It's just like I'm looking at the stats for just today alone. Like Counter-Strike went over Counter-Strike was almost at 600,000 people today played it. Then you still got PUBG was over 1 million. You know, so they have so many people that come through that ecosystem that they really don't feel the pain of these games leaving. Like, if you look at the top 10, none of the games in the top 10 are games that were probably released in the last 2 to 3 years on Steam. A lot of that has to do with the fact that those games haven't been available on Steam for a while because, you know, it all started with Origin and them pulling all their games off, and then Ubisoft did the same thing. So this has been something that's been happening, you know, periodically over the last 3 to 4 years. And then the last straw was Call of Duty when they pulled that off the store last year and put it on the Blizzard launcher.
See, that's what I'm looking at right now. Like in the top 15 games played on Steam right now, or on Twitch right now, they only have 2, which is PUBG, and then Counter-Strike is at like, it's not even Counter-Strike. Where's Counter-Strike? Never mind. It's Dota. It's PUBG and Dota too. Yeah,
Counter-Strike I don't think's up there right now.
No, but that's all we're saying. That you get influx when these big single player games come out, right? Like these games are always going to be streamed. It's cool, but how much money have you guys put into Counter-Strike in the last 10 years? I haven't put anything.
This is what I think they need to worry because right now Epic and if I was a developer, I put my game on Epic because it's more of a you get the split.
Yeah.
But think about the people that are playing on Epic server right now. The people playing on Epic server are playing Fortnite. They're there for that. You're basically gambling that if you put your game on this service, you're getting more eyes on your game. That's basically that's the only reason you're doing it, because on top of getting the bigger split. So Division makes sense because Division kind of falls in the same line as a game like Fortnite because it's a loot game where you grind for cosmetics and it's co-op and multiplayer focus.
It's a different game, man.
It's like a different game, but it still caters to the same type of people that want to play that game. Like it was natural for people when they left Destiny to go to Division. Then when they left Division, they went back to Destiny. Then they left that and went to PUBG. Then PUBG and they went to Fortnite because all those games kind of serve the same purpose. They give you, it's all about the loot grind that you can get in the game. People don't just play think about this. People play Fortnite they want to win. They want to get as many wins under their belt as they can. But they pay that $10 a month, that $10 every season for that battle pass. And that battle pass is just to get the loot that you can get throughout the whole season. And that's what really drives Epic's dollar value and how much they put into those games.
The skins and the customization.
It's the skins and the customizations and stuff. So Division being in there is something I could definitely say that's going to work for them. They'll still cater to that same crowd. Same thing. Let's say Bungie's on the market now. We don't know where the next Destiny is going to be at. It may not be on the Blizzard launcher. It might be something that Fortnite might pull. I mean, Epic might pull up and get them in there too. So I can see games like that. But once you start seeing bigger games like I can't think of one on top of my head that's not in that type of genre, and they start going to that platform and diversifying it, then I can really see Steam in trouble then, because then you're starting to start this whole nother ecosystem where they have variety just like, Steam has right now.
Okay. No, that makes sense. I think when it comes to, you brought up the aspect of you're gambling. I think that it's a lot less of a gamble. Like I said, when it comes to business, you just want to get in the door. I just want to be where all the people are at. I want my business to be where all the people are at, because once you're in the door, anything can happen when you're in the doors. Now, it is a gamble, but when you have a 15, how many player base? What's like the monthly player base for Fortnite? Was it like how many millions of people play Fortnite a month?
Ridiculous.
Some insane, crazy number.
The most active game I think was Minecraft. Like
90 million monthly users. Yeah,
like Jesus.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I know Fortnite. I mean, it's not even close to that. But it's still millions and millions of people that play every month. That's millions and millions of eyes that I could potentially have on my game. Yeah, I may not get the kind of push, but if you get in early, you don't have to fight. Because, I mean, what game? Fortnite's the only game. There's maybe a couple other games in there, too.
Now.
Yeah, exactly. You put Division there, there's not much. You get in early, there's not much else to look at. Like, when I'm in the door, anything can happen. People say, okay, cool. What is this other Division 2? I thought I heard about that game. Or I'm going to at least go check a trailer out now on YouTube. okay, it looks good. Let me actually go purchase it. Even if you don't buy it off that store, I'm gonna go buy it from my PlayStation or my Xbox. You know,
Especially
because
if it's
there's
the
that
first game
exposure
that's
and that
on the,
visibility.
especially if it's the
Exactly.
game that they put on the launcher, like with Division launch, it, you know, instead of showing Fortnite as the game on the front, they put Division up there. You know, and then people's like, "Oh, what's this? This isn't Fortnite." And then you
Exactly.
look at it, you're like, "Oh, might get you'll get sales that way." I
You'll,
just think it just depends on how financially, you know, stable you are as a company, because you, like I said, it's a risk. It's not a huge risk because I think you'll still sell. People know who the IP is. They know what Division is. The biggest thing is going to come down to people that's on Steam are willing to spend money on different types of games where you don't know what's going to happen on, you know, Epic's launcher until it happens.
Well, I think the Division was a smart move by them, man. I don't know if you guys ever saw the active users of Division on Steam at the time. It got to the point where it was only like 400 people.
yeah,
And
it was
so
crazy.
it was
Well,
dead.
it didn't help
Like,
that you could still play that game through Ubisoft's launcher without even touching Steam.
yeah, well, that it was just like very low, and I know the consoles were far better on it, but yeah, I think yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to go over a little bit this show. We don't usually go over, but the topics have been so good. We've been just having so much fun here. We're going to go over a little bit. So we got the last thing we want to talk about. And I saved this for last because I think this is probably the biggest thing that happened this week. So if you have been living under a rock and don't know about this already, Bungie recently split from Activision. They did keep the Destiny IP. So they're now an independent studio. Okay, so there's been all this stuff about maybe them going back to Xbox, you know, which I don't think that would be a great situation, but neither here nor there. But there's that happened, and I want to get you guys' opinion on what this move means for Destiny, what this move means for Bungie going forward in the future. We're gonna start with our guest Enrique once again. What do you think this means for Bungie going forward and Destiny, the franchise?
Well, I think it means they probably have more creative freedom, you know, and hopefully, I think the biggest thing coming out of this is that the fact that they're not on that yearly launch schedule that Activision has, so they don't have that pressure of having to release content every year, kind of like Call of Duty, you know, and so maybe they can put more time into kind of refining the game, and maybe, you know, listening to the community feedback and maybe you know, applying some of the feedback, the things the community wants to see. You know, there's been a lot of disconnect from, I believe, since day one. I think Kotaku wrote an article about this, even since before the launch of Destiny 1. There seemed to be some disconnect between Activision and Bungie. But I think ultimately, at the end of the day, the one thing that I kind of took out of this, and I'm still kind of processing all this, because this is big. I mean,
It's huge.
I don't know if any of us, you know, thought that this was going to happen sooner than later. I think we all could tell there's probably cracks in the foundation when you know, when Activision came out and said they were kind of disappointed in
the Forsaken sales.
Yeah, the Forsaken sales, and Bungie's like, nah, hey, we're happy. You know, we're happy with Forsaken, and we're going to continue to, you know, deliver what our Destiny fans want. And there's definitely some disconnect with, you know, what Bungie wanted to give to the hardcore Destiny base and what Activision wanted to do. But I think the biggest thing that I'm going to take away from this, at least right now, is that at least from Bungie's perspective, they're not on that scheduled timeline of annual releases.
So would you agree, sorry to cut you off, was it more of a big brother situation with Activision than like a partnership, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was. I mean, you know, we heard about Activision, you know, looking at maybe implementing some you know, microtransactions to kind of, you know, increase, you know, profitability with the game. You know, early on, Activision kind of touted Destiny as their billion-dollar franchise. It wasn't that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think that, yeah, I think that it part of it was Big Brother. And, you know, my understanding too with Activision and Blizzard, that whole thing's a mess too, from what I understand. You know, I've heard that the CFOs have been like,
don't bring it up, man. Don't break it up. Don't get me started on that shit.
You know, and look, man, Blizzard holds, oh my God, just a near and dear to my heart. And to hear some of the things I've heard about CFOs being in creative meetings, I'm like, what the fuck does a CFO? The CFO should never be in a creative meeting, because they are by like,
They look at numbers all day, not
Exactly,
art.
yeah.
Yeah, they don't have any artistic influence. They look at numbers.
Exactly. They don't care about what the fans want. They look at the bottom line. Like, they're looking. Okay, is this going to generate revenue? That's all they care about. And those folks should never be in planning meetings or creative meetings. And so
that's a bad
that,
sign if you see one in a meeting.
yeah, and so it's really, as a gamer, it's a little disheartening to hear that on the Blizzard side, but. I'm happy for Bungie, and you know what? The big thing too that was awesome is that they got to keep their IP.
Yeah,
now
that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, and that's huge. I will say this though. I mean, I've seen some people say, "Oh, a lot of the issues that Destiny's had is a result of Activision." I don't necessarily buy into that because Bungie has done a lot of things and implemented a lot of things in Destiny that weren't necessarily
that season pass cheese.
Yes, and that insane puzzle that no one could break, and it just those are things that were design choices by Bungie, and
no in game at
no
all.
In game, yep. That so I just hope that this is going to be a long road for Bungie. Look, it's great, but to self-publish is challenging. Matt Piscatella, who we've had on Basement Radio Arcade podcast, because Matt actually, he worked for Activision, believe it or not, in the early days and marketing. And so he said, the challenge is, now you have to market your games, you have to publish your games. You have to study, the demand, the demographics of who who this game's going to appeal to. And so they have to worry about all that stuff now where Activision was handling that. So, it's a rocky situation. It's great for them. We heard about them popping bottles, but they're not necessarily out of the weeds. I know they have $100 million investment from a Chinese developer. Was it NetEase? But that's for another game, and so
I think it might be a mobile game.
Mobile game, yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I really hope these guys. Look, I'll probably get crucified for saying this, but I say this on Twitter. If I'm Phil Spencer, I'm parading these guys out on the stage at E3 this year because Sony's not going to be there. I mean, what great fan service would that be, right?
That would be dope. That would be cool.
I mean, I would scream at the top of my lungs if I saw the Bungie guys walk on stage with Phil Spencer.
That'd be cool.
I just would. I would.
Yeah. I think it'd be
a nice little
more, even if it wasn't like a game situation, like we got something cooking up together, we're gonna buy Bungie. It'd be more symbolic than anything, like kind of a bury the hatchet kind of thing. We're on the same page. We can still work together,
It's but it's fan service. I mean, think about that. Think about all of us who, and Zalker, you said it earlier, like, man, I was playing, Halo on my 30-inch TV. And dude, I mean, who doesn't remember Halo when I can't sing, I'm not a monk, but when that music first hit, and I'm not lying, man, and I've been gaming for like 40 years, not that long, but almost as long. I put down my controller when that came on for the first time on the Xbox. I'm like, holy shit, what is this? And so I think it would just give so much fan service for them.
It would be amazing. It would be great. And that's a good look, Enrique, too. I think you're absolutely right about the look. I don't know if, as far as business wise, and Phil, he's already thinking, and I don't even know if he's had any contact. That's something we wouldn't even know about anyway, unless you were like in the same building. But who knows? He may have already called him just to check on him, see if what I'm saying. Who knows? What kind of relationship they've had?
I'm Phil. I'm sending bottles.
Oh, cut it out.
Over there. Need some money?
I need some money.
Yeah. You know what? Hey, I'm saying, hey, I'm sending a blank check from Microsoft. Say, hey, put the money here. I'll sign the bottom of it. Let me know what you need. We got you.
Oh my goodness.
I think they're gonna run into a lot of challenges. They don't have any monthly subscription to their game, which is, people kind of tout it as an MMO style console game, The big thing that really did kill WoW was Activision, but what really, really demolished it is they didn't bring out content fast enough. If you look at like raids, people were finishing raids, and then there was like a 4 to 5 month lull of nothing to do. If you think Destiny's gonna be able to survive that, you're fucking delusional. Like, that's just a fact. Like, that's just, and they don't have the money to back it. So it's going to take at least, what I'm like mathematically looking at is at least a year to a year and a half for Bungie to actually execute their vision, if not longer.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking at, is that, yeah, it's all good. You don't have the corporate overlord, all over you now, and you can do what you want. But you know what? It's all on you now. If the game sucks, you're fucked. No one else is. Like, it's all on you. And I just don't. And for Activision, who is a money hungry son of a gun, right? They're like, for them to just give, not even, I don't know if they didn't give it, right? There had to be a deal with some money. For them to part ways with Destiny shows me that Activision sees it as a franchise that might be too damaged.
Yeah.
It might have too bad of a name now at this point. And I said this on Scum.
Them too,
yeah, and I said this with on Scum. I said this on a couple other podcasts, and I've said this in videos, is that there's competition now. You have Anthem, you got Division 2, you got games that are coming at you that are gonna compete with you, and we don't even know what else. And apparently that Avengers game might be something like a Destiny. People are saying rumors that Halo Infinite might be like a Destiny. We don't know what's coming out.
Yeah.
And you have this stout competition. You have 800 developers on staff on Bungie. Like, that's a lot of people to pay. That's you're a big developer. I don't know who would invest in you. I can see a situation where this might not go well for them, to be honest. And that's something that sucks, but it might not go well, and they might have to make a partnership they don't like even more.
That's a great point, Zucker. It's such a realistic point, because I think a lot of us are forgetting that they're on their own, and 850 people, that's a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah.
And now you have to back your own game.
Yeah, marketing, everything.
Yeah, marketing, publishing, everything.
Making compelling content on top. Like, they didn't even when they were backed, the end game wasn't anything to be going crazy over in Destiny 1.
Nope.
And now in Destiny 2, they freaking destroyed the game, at least for me. Yeah. And then the Forsaken came out and fixed some things. Some people liked it. Yeah, it's all good. Hey, man, we're all excited. But at the end of the day, like, when you're done, you're done.
It was the Band-Aid on a broken leg.
Yeah, it's like, and that's what I think Activision saw, was just kind of like, F it. Like, I think we're just going to cut losses. I think we made some money off of this. Let's just get the hell out of here, get some money from the IP, from Bungie, and walk away.
All right, so I'm dying to see your opinion, Fuzzy, because I know you're a big Division fan. You kind of weren't really into Destiny too much, but what is your opinion on the split, man? What do you think?
I kind of, it's weird. I think I mentioned this like a while ago, that I thought that something like this would happen, and I like randomly joked like, hey, maybe Phil should try and buy Bungie or something, and everybody's like, oh, there's no way Activision's gonna let them go. But when Activision said that they weren't happy with the overall sales, I knew that it was only a matter of time. Activision's all about the bottom line. If you're not meeting expectations, you're cut, or you're gone, or some sort of change is going to happen. And I didn't think that they were going to be able to close Bungie or anything like that, but I knew they were going to probably be like, hey, all right, we made what we made. We got more money on our investment, or more of a return on our investment, but not as much as we wanted. So let's end it here. Yeah. And it's going to be tough now. Like everybody mentioned, it's self-publishing is not something that's easy. I mean, I'm pretty sure a company like Nordic THQ would step up and say, hey, we'll chip in, but I don't know if they have that type of pocketbook to really help. But
Bethesda.
Yeah. But I definitely see some sort of partnership that it may not work to Bungie's advantage, but I think they'll probably be a bit happier creatively, but they're going to have to not only figure out what they're going to do with Destiny, but figure out the long-term goal for like either Destiny 3 or what to do after that, because without having Activision's wallet, it's going to be an uphill battle from there.
And you know what the funny thing about what you just said is that they've kind of dug themselves a hole with Destiny by not making that roadmap clear, and by not having a clear picture of like a storyline and end game. You're at the point where, if you're into the lore of Destiny like I am, that's kind of what drew me to the game. There's a lot more shit that they need to cover. There's a lot of holes there that there's a lot of questions that still haven't been answered. So do you continue to try and squeeze that rock do you get blood out of it, or what? Or do you just say, fuck it, we're going to scrap it. We don't have the backing we used to. Let's take a left turn and try to do something different. So it's a weird situation because Destiny 2 isn't over. I mean, that story's still supposed to be going. There's still other things they need to do. Like there's all this other not trailers, but all these other like cliffhangers and holes in the story that need to be filled. So they've left themselves in kind of a position where you can't just move on from Destiny at this point. You have to finish it.
Yeah, that's going to be tough for them. I can totally see them doing some sort of like side story type of thing to kind of pay the bills, or at least cover in the meantime, and then try to keep all the Destiny loyal fans to kind of hold out for
they'll
Destiny
be playing
3.
Anthem. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
It's going to be a bumpy road for the next couple of years for them, to at least until they get back on their feet and get the story in the direction that they really want it to go.
Okay, cool. And I saved you for last, Forte. I did that intentionally because I know this is my resident. If I want any information on Destiny, this is the guy I go to. So, what is your opinion on the split, man?
I saw it coming. I knew this was gonna happen sooner or later. I was just shocked that they kept the IP. I didn't see that at all. I was firmly in the knowledge of knowing that they were super unhappy with the situation they were in, but the only way I thought they would get out of that halfway through their contract is if they was just to sell the IP off to Activision, and Activision just let High Moon and Vicarious Visions run Destiny going forward. But kudos to them. They got the best lawyers in the business. I don't know how they pulled it off, but they kept the IP. The one thing I do want to say is, to echo off what Enrique said, people, a lot of people really give Activision a lot of slack for the things that they do, and they deserve it to an extent for most of the stuff that they do. But I kind of always harken back to, what would Destiny be without Activision? Because without that $500 million investment up front, we wouldn't have the game that we have now. Without, I don't think Activision had as much play into some of the creative process that a lot of people do. I think towards the end, like the last probably 6 to 7 months, probably the last year, Activision's probably had a little bit more say in some of the stuff's going on. But from the beginning, I think a lot of that was on Bungie and their ambitions of what they wanted their game to be. It was written in Jason Schreier's first book about the problems that Destiny had with them having to reboot it. That had nothing to do with Activision. That was all about Bungie and having to rewrite the story, and Jason Staten leaving because the story got thrown out the window because the higher-ups at Bungie said it wasn't what they wanted it to be. So a lot of the problems Destiny had was self-inflicted problems. And the biggest thing and now they have their complete freedom. So yes, I am happy as a Destiny fan. I'm happy that they're off on their own, not because they're away from Activision, just because I feel like now we have an opportunity to get the game that Bungie wants us to have, because that constraint that they had on that yearly release and doing DLCs or annual pass content, I think is what really burnt them out, to the fact that, they don't even have those other two studios to help them now, because those were Activision studios. People that might not know, but Vicarious Visions and High Moon, they were responsible for the DLCs. Why Bungie worked on Destiny 3. Vicarious Visions did Rise of Iron. Some people think that is one of the best parts of where Destiny was at its greatest, when they brought back all of the old raids and everything and made all the ornaments and stuff. That wasn't Bungie. That was Vicarious Visions that built that for them. And that gave Destiny or Bungie a chance to, build the foundation that Destiny 2 is now. But they're free. They have everything that they want, and just be very cautious going forward, because
the thing, Forte, is the landscape has changed. Zalker brought that up. You have other games as well. So it's now don't get me wrong, Destiny is still Destiny. It's still going to do what it does. It's still ingrained, in a lot of gamers' hearts, and but I think that I don't know, like they're in such a weird position. Right. Because Forsaken just came out. That was Destiny 2 is essentially Taken King. Now what? I know there's probably going to be some DLC coming out, whatever the case may be, but like you have all this other competition. You just go through this breakup, which I don't know, maybe on their side they're happy with it. We don't know what's going to come out of this as far as are they going to continue even making Destiny? I know that $100 million they got invested, wasn't that for like some PC mobile stuff? That wasn't even for Destiny at all.
It wasn't for Destiny, no. I think that, okay, so the thing is, I don't think there's going to be a Destiny 3. I think they're just going to build on Destiny, and it's going to become what WoW is today. They're just going to update it as they go. It will just be this ever-living game that you will just update whenever they got new stuff coming out for it. When it comes to the other games coming out, I'm gonna play Anthem. I'm gonna play Division. I love both. Well, I love Division because I put almost as many hours in Division. Well, quite not so much, but close into Division that I did in Destiny. So I can't wait for those games. But the problem is, people. It takes a lot to get a player base to want to come back to your game as much as they do. The one thing I will say is the Destiny community, the people that play Destiny, they always, for the most part, the majority of them, when I mean the majority, I mean the hardcore. The people that play the game now are the hardcore people. That 2 million people that you see on Destiny Tracker that play the game on a day-to-day basis, that's their core. Now, will that core go up and down every once in a while when a new game comes out? Will some of them leave and some of them go? Yeah, but it will still somewhat be in that 1.5 to 2 million core. And I don't think they're ever going to bring back the 12 to 14 million people that loved this game in the beginning and they just didn't like where the actual content went later on. They'll never get those people back. But what is Anthem going to do 3 months after it comes out? What is Division going to be 3 months after that comes out? Because Destiny, as much as we give it shit, it's established what it actually is. We know what we're going to get from that game when new DLC comes out. We're going to get more of the same stuff, but do you enjoy that stuff is the biggest thing. We don't know what Anthem and stuff is going to bring.
True.
And that's the only downside that I don't know about. If that stuff knocks it out of the park and it makes it so you just don't want to ever leave Anthem or you don't want to leave Division, then Bungie's in trouble.
Well, I think they already are.
I think they already are. I don't think that's what I'm saying. Despite everything you just said, that core player base, I think they're already in a bad. But I don't think that that's something that like.
Well, Anthem's developers already said that.
This is the thing, Bungie. So we already know when it comes to the Destiny player base, they are some of the most passionate, loyal fans to that game that there is. Bungie doing this, you already hear people saying, "Oh my God, this is going to save Destiny. This is going to do that." Those people really, truly believe that. And now that they know that Bungie's up against it and they know that it basically is going to come down to the players playing the game and sticking with it, a lot of those people are going to feel emboldened and feel like they have to stick with Destiny just because they don't want Bungie to fail. Because if those people leave, what are you saying? You're basically saying
but how many of those fans are there, man?
There's a lot of them.
I'll be generous. I'll give you 1 million of those fans.
That's a lot of people. They only
go off
of 1.5.
It's not enough to establish a game like that.
It's only 2 million people that play the game on a day-to-day basis. 1 million people is a lot.
Yeah, but it's not enough money.
That's half the player base.
It's not enough money.
That's and now you're independent.
The money thing is completely set. We don't know what they're going to do with the money.
That affects the game as well. Now you're independent. Where's all of this coming from? You just told us they weren't even making their DLC. They weren't making their
DLC, and that's what has me worried. Like, what? So, are we going to go back to the? Are they going to just say? I think that if they do make a Destiny 3, they're going to basically delay that. You're going to get that delayed. They already said they're staying on the same content loop that they are for the rest of this for Destiny 2. Meaning we're going to get the next 2 DLCs, one in March, one in one in March, one in the end of May. Those are the 2 next DLCs. Then we got the comic that comes out in September. So we know what this year looks like for Destiny. Now, the question is, what's coming after that? Are we getting DLC with the comic like we did with Forsaken? If we're not, then what are they going to do to fill that void? That's when we're going to start seeing the money problem happen for Destiny. It's not going to happen before September. After September, we start seeing what that content drop's going to look like. And if it looks very sparse, then we got a problem.
Yeah, and then Division 2 said they have free content for a year, and Anthem said that they have content that they already have planned for after launch that's end game focused, and like they have all this other stuff, and they said, yeah, but the game's going to be pretty big. It's going to take you a while to get there, and then when you do get there, we'll have content ready.
Well, Anthem has to overcome the EA problem first.
That's a whole nother. Yeah, that's a whole nother.
They got to overcome it because Battlefield had free DLC.
It's a perception.
It's a perception.
Yeah, it's more of a perception, and
that's what I'm saying. The perception problem. Now, Division doesn't have that because they got a lot of the goodwill back.
Warframe
after their man, I love Warframe.
Yeah.
But Forte, could they go the Warframe route, like how Digital Extremes does Warframe?
Go free to play?
Yeah.
They could. It just really comes down to how much they're willing to scale the game back to do that, though.
To be honest with you, a lot of people, a lot of developers, you'd be surprised, a lot, and I mean a lot of developers are looking at what Fortnite has done, going free to play, and then just doing like those $10 packs or anything. Like a lot of developers are looking at that. It changed the industry, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
They could. They definitely could. It just really comes down to what the player base. I think they got to have a meaningful conversation with the player base. Destiny hasn't gotten to where it is right now without the player base. And if Bungie wants to keep the game at least like community-wise in a good place, we need to find out what's going to happen with the game going forward, knowing that they don't have the piggy bank of Activision behind them anymore.
Bingo. They don't have the safety net.
They definitely need to address that with the community.
Cool. And I think we go ahead and wrap it up with that for sure. So the podcast definitely went a little longer, about a half hour longer. So many great topics today, guys. Thank you guys all out joining us. I see you, Luca, creeping. What's up, Luca? How you doing in there? One of my favorite people on Twitter and in the gaming community, Ashley Luca. She's amazing. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and wrap things up, man. This was an amazing show. Had a lot of good topics. We actually had stuff that I had kind of on a back burner that I was going to talk about, but we ran a little long today, so I'm going to hold off on those till next week. So I'm going to go ahead and let everybody kind of get their plugs in, everything. So Enrique, just once again, go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you, G, where they can look you up. Once again, the link to his podcast is already in the description below. If you follow me, you subscribe to me, please go subscribe to them. They have an amazing podcast. So go ahead, Enrique.
Hey, PTK, man, I appreciate the plug, man. And always a pleasure coming on the shop and talking video games, man. Definitely appreciate it. Like I said, it's been too long, and we got to get you on BRAP, man, sooner than later.
Sure.
Yeah, so, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. You can find us on YouTube. We go live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to give us a follow on Twitter, you can find us at BRAP_podcast. And Gaming Forte is actually one of our
yes, sir.
co-hosts. Yeah, so Forte, man, always a great addition to the podcast, man. Him and Slow-Mo Backslap actually have recently joined BRAP. Yeah, and they've been two great additions.
I had E on here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. You had E a couple weeks ago. So it's myself, Forte, Slow-Mo, Eric Jackson, and B Money 101. And man, we just like talking video games, man, and just having a good time. So definitely give us a follow. And like I said, this Wednesday we might have a special industry guest. I won't say who it is, but I can tell you he is somebody who has given us some great franchises: Twisted Metal, God of War. I'll leave it at that. So, and he's actually
Corey Barlow confirmed.
Yeah. So he's actually a returning guest on the podcast. So
awesome, man.
Yeah, PTK, thanks again, man.
No problem.
We got to get you on BRAP soon, man.
Oh yeah, well, it'll happen. We already talked. We in the DMs, man. We that's where it goes down. Shout out to Yo Gotti. But anyway, so next, Zalker, man, go ahead and give you a shout out, man. I know Zalker has been doing big things on YouTube. Please go subscribe to him as well. I need to put your link down in the description below. I actually forgot. I need to do that post.
How dare
you? I know it's disrespectful.
Agent. This horse shit.
Oh man, did I break the contract? I'm sorry, Zalker. Just guys, check out Zalker. I'm gonna make sure that link gets put below as well. Go ahead and give yourself a shout out, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, man. Oh, well, having me on panel member, baby. Jesus. I love it every Saturday. We have a good time talking games. Today went a little over, but man, we had some good topics, man. The nostalgia got real. But yeah, everybody, you can find me at Zalker87 on Twitter and Zalker87 on YouTube. I passed 500 and I'm almost at 600 subs.
Get it already, man.
there.
Let's get it.
Yeah. It's been really good, man. The support's been crazy. Everybody in the community's just been really awesome, man, and supportive, and had a lot of fun talking games with everybody. And, man, it's our passion.
For sure. Let's do it. And let's go.
Wait. And Fuzzy, you sexy as fuck, bro.
I had to throw that in there. So Fuzzy, man. Fuzzy was on the back of a milk carton last week. He couldn't find Fuzz. I saw the avatar on the milk carton and walked. What the hell? Anyway, go ahead and give yourself a shout out, Fuzzy.
Hey, Fuzzy Belvedere here. You can find me on Twitter, Xbox Live, PSN. Usually playing Forza, kind of wrapped up in Assassin's Creed, but always love talking games. Great panel today. Always fun.
Oh man, let's get it. And last but not least, the boy Forte, man. Thank you for jumping in. Forte is kind of a rotating. He's a member, not a formal member, but he's always welcome on the show. So go ahead and give yourself a shout out, Forte.
Oh yeah, definitely. Always appreciate the links when you drop them. I jump in. If I ain't at work, I'm jumping in. That's
for sure, man.
So, no, really appreciate it. I don't have to say it all because Brap, he already pretty much said it. We just come over there, check us out, man. Really cool. I get to beat on slow-mo every week. It's like one of my lifetime passions. Shout out to slow-mo, man. I love that, man. You can get me over on Twitter at gaming_Forte and YouTube. Just got back to making videos again. The holiday season's over. I uploaded videos the last 2 days, so I'm back to my daily uploads. If you basically Xbox, Division, anything looter shooter verse, and we just cover all that stuff over there on Gaming Forte channel. So
awesome,
check it out. And we are 9 subscribers away from 1,200. So
okay. Let's get it, guys. Nice. Once again, if you guys subscribe to me, please go over and subscribe to Brat Podcast. I will make sure Gaming Forte's link to his channel is in the description below as well, so you guys go do that too as a favor to me. Now, once again, the host with the most PTK Blam across the board on Xbox Live, on Twitter, on everything, guys. We do this thing every Saturday. Appreciate you guys coming out. Follow me for updates. Follow me for polls of the weeks. All kind of cool shit we have going on planned for 2019 here on the show. We're cooking up some things behind the scene, and we're making some moves here. I have a goal, 2,000 subs by the end of the year. So if you guys want to help us hit that goal, hit the subscribe button, drop a like on the video. It helps the content be seen. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. Once again, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. We'll be back next week. Thank you guys. Have a good one. Peace out.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.